One of the things you talk about quite often, Graham, is the importance of using a fail fast, fail cheap process to idea exploration. Can you maybe give us a bit more information about that, please?
Well, the basic reason, Dave, is the start fact that most ideas will fail. And a common problem for people who are perhaps new to innovation is that they seem to have this sense that every idea must actually work. A much more productive way of thinking is that developing an idea in the first place is to recognise that the idea is just a theory or a hypothesis, really, that may or may not bear up to scrutiny in due course. If we accept the fact that most ideas will fail and that it's difficult to tell which will fail from the outset, then really the best option is to select an idea to work on and in a sense try to get it to fail. Basically, the mindset here is that if an idea is going to fail, it's better to find out sooner and before we spend too much money on it. It's worth pointing out that when we have a group of ideas to work with, there is usually no such thing as a best idea or the right idea at the beginning. All we can hope for is finding something that looks like a good idea. Fail fast, fail cheap means that we explore ideas from the point of view of what would be most likely to cause this idea to fail, and then setting about finding out if you're right, as long as you're doing so fast and cheap. So our mantra here is, you've got no time and no money, so now what are you going to do?
Yeah, and certainly from my experience working in some of these projects, teams can be a bit reluctant to go down a fail fast, fail cheap route during exploration. What aspects of it do you think makes it difficult for teams?
I think sometimes it's even just the use of the word fail. I've definitely worked with clients where they find it difficult to get their head around this idea that they are dealing with what they would see as failure. And failure can feel like a toxic concept or a toxic word for people. You know, in some organizations, people just can't bring themselves to think in these terms. Everything has to work. I think also, especially when you have a team exploring an idea created by one or more of the team members themselves, then they're likely to feel as though the idea is their baby. It can be quite difficult to persuade them to be objective about their exploration in those circumstances. The team can be less willing than they should be to properly test the idea and therefore see it have the potential to fail. But quite often what happens is that people will hang on to an idea for far too long because they feel a kind of an emotional investment in it. This is particularly true if the group have only a few ideas to start with. We really want them always to have a lot of ideas. One of the great advantages of having lots of ideas is that we should feel more ready to shelve an idea that's not passing our exploration tests, since we've got lots more ideas we can immediately turn to. So if you don't have lots of ideas, then it's harder to say no, objectively, this idea is going to fail.
Yeah, and one of the key approaches to fail fast, fail cheap that you talk about is using the plan, do, study, act approach, which it's not a new thing. It gets used in Lean all the time. What is it about using this approach and innovation that you think makes it work really well?
Oh, straightforwardly, because it is a good structure. And it's a way really of testing theories, and that's exactly what we're doing at this stage of the process. An idea is just a theory, after all. The other reason I would emphasise is that PDSA process is just generally not used very well. People often just don't get the level of discipline and rigour that we would really want them to pursue. So the tool will work much better if we apply more than just a passing reference to the headings. Done well and recorded well, PDSA will produce much faster learning and a traceable process of exploration that can prove really, really useful as the development continues over a period of time.